All right, welcome everybody. So it looks like we are live on Facebook and we have most of the people that we're expecting. So this is a really good turnout. So thank you everybody for being on time and thank you for coming for what I'm expecting and will not be let down, right, Ursula? A great topic about how to overcome our fears. And so I'm super excited because this is something that we do face a lot. And it's not just in real estate that we face this. So we have an hour packed of content sharing with you guys. So we are going to talk about what could potentially and may potentially be holding us back from moving ahead in our real estate path. So here's a list of some of the very common and familiar things that I hear from my coaching clients about some of the fears that they have in real estate. And so Ursula is going to touch a little bit on these fears. So do any of these sound familiar to you, or do you know somebody who's shared these fears with you? The market's going to crash. I don't want to be a landlord because I'm going to have bad tenants. I can't get into real estate now. I just don't have the down payment money. I don't have any money. I've missed the opportunity to buy. I should have bought 10 years ago. Okay. Debt is bad. If I get a mortgage, if I leverage my HELOC, that's all bad debt. And I don't want more debt. I can't manage an out of town property. I need to physically invest in my back door. Okay. I'm single. I can't do this on my own. I need a partner. I need people to help me. I'm not a handy person. I can't tell the difference between a screwdriver and a hammer. Another one that I hear quite often is my family's not in real estate. I don't have the support. I don't know who to even lean on. Okay. So these are just a few of the very common examples of some of the fears that we have specifically in real estate. Okay. So now if you stay until the end, I promise you that one, I will be gifting you some gifts that are worth over $500. And the other thing that I will promise you is that you will learn something new or hear something that you already know, or get reminded of something that you already knew. So you're getting reminded of it and potentially take some action on it. Okay. So this will be an hour well spent. Okay. So now you might be looking saying, okay, well, who are you and why should we listen to you, right? Okay, so my name's Huong. For those of you who don't know me, it's Huong like Hong Kong. I will be your facilitator tonight. I'm only going to talk for maybe 5 minutes at the most, okay? So I became financially set in my early 40s and was able to retire from my full-time engineering job. And I did real estate investing for 20 plus years. And I do buy and holds, private lending, rent to own, and creative strategies within real estate. And so during my journey in growing my portfolio, I've had some of the fears and worries that was listed on the past slide. So some of those are fears that I went through. And so I understand the feeling of having those fears. So I'm super excited to hear what Ursula has to say about her 3-step method on overcoming fear. And I'm super glad that you're here with me this evening to talk about this super important mindset concept. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Ursula. So I'm going to stop my share and let Ursula, you go ahead and take over.
Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. I believe you disabled the participant for me to screen share. So either you have to make me a host again.
Okay. All right.
Oh, perfect. Okay, let's try this again. Okay. Please let me know, guys, if you see my screen. Yay, amazing. Thank you, Huong. Well, welcome everybody to this amazing presentation. I am super happy to be here. I'm honored. Thank you, Huong, for allowing me to speak to your audience. As she said, I'm going to be speaking to you how to overcome fear in 3 steps. For those who do not know me, my name is Ursula Keith. I am a mindset coach. People do not know necessarily what a mindset coach is, but have you ever heard of a life coach? A life coach is somebody that guides you through parts in your life where you doubt that you're capable, and it comes as a little voice that comes like beside you that says, hey, you're actually good at this. You actually can do this. Wait a minute, why are you having so many limiting beliefs? Like, you're capable. That is the type of work I do. And I like to work on our mind, because our mind is the one thing that can either make us or break us completely. And I'm sure you guys have all experienced it, because I know that you're in real estate, and it takes a different mindset when you start getting yourself uncomfortable, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. With that said, let's get it started. I guess I should just tell you guys, I am the founder of Badass Mindset Inc. So if you want to know a little bit more about me particularly, you can definitely visit my website. Okay, let's start with the brain war that happens in our brain. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but we have two types of brains in our mind. It's the ancient brain and the mastery brain. The ancient brain is the one that is scanning your environment and is built to look for negativity bias. That means that it will look for everything and everything that could possibly go wrong. And this comes from the cave era, the caveman era, where, how can I say this? We were just looking for everything that could go wrong, because you could die. You could literally die if you didn't look for what was not happening for you. And the mind developed this mechanism so that it made us stay comfortable. It made us not push our limits, because if you push your limits, if you're not comfortable, that means that you can probably die. As we started developing as just human beings, we developed the second brain, which is the mastery brain. This comes from, if you see on the picture, it comes on the prefrontal cortex of your mind. This mind, it looks for, it's the part of higher thinking. It's the part of our brain that does higher thinking, which is the one that dreams bigger. It makes you learn quicker. It increases your levels of productivity. And it's the one that pushes you to be better. It's the brain that's really saying, hey, you can actually be better than the person that you're today. Tomorrow, you are capable of doing whatever you achieve. But then you have this ancient brain telling you like, hey, no, what are you doing? This is crazy. Like, don't do that. Because the ancient brain, it senses that you're leaving your comfort zone. It senses that, oh my God, I am leaving what I know into this very uncomfortable part of your life. But even though it senses the threat, and the threat is essential for your growth, it will fight it. So they will fight against each other. They will have, and this is subconscious. You don't even know that this is happening, but this is happening in your brain. Then when your ancient brain starts bringing all these whistles and all these alarms, there's fear that comes up into this. So you're going to ask me, well, what is all of this, Ursula? I'm getting into it. The fear is released when you're going through this process of looking at all the negativity bias. And then you get cortisol hormone released in your body. And this creates, how can I say it? It shallows your breathing. It just gets you all excited. You don't know what you're doing. And you could probably go into a mode of fight or flee. Fight or flee. Have you ever heard of this? When you're in fear mode, you have 3 stages. You either fight, you flight, or you freeze. Usually we either flee or we freeze. We don't act on things. But what if you could fight against it? What if you could fight the fear? What if you could show up even if you're not ready? We need to have the courage, honestly, and this is what I'm going to be pushing you today. We have to have the courage to go past those alarms and whistles that your ancient brain is trying to bring to you. But the reality is that fear is only false evidence appearing real. That means that your brain is creating all the evidence to tell you that this is not what you should be doing. But what if it was just a mechanism to keep you safe and to keep you where you are in your comfort zone? That is my question. And I wanna ask you this. Have you ever experienced this in your real estate journey where you were scared and like, oh my God, what am I gonna do with a new property and all of this? I know Huong told me that you guys already have properties. You guys already own, but you wanna grow. You wanna continue growing. Therefore, how can you continue growing, trying to get evidence that you are capable of achieving this? With that said, we are gonna get into more of the juicy stuff. I just wanted to give you an insight on what was happening or what is happening in your brain that is really subconscious. But before I start, I wanna mention something. The name of my business is Badass, or I use that as part of my name of my business. And this is how my whole marketing is whole badass mindset. First of all, I want to let you know that I understand the word badass is a word that could potentially have a bad connotation to it. That means that people feel like it's a strong word and it's not a good word. So what I thought I would tell you is what badass means to me, because it's just amazing. For me, the word badass means that it's something that's out of the ordinary. It means something that doesn't fit the status quo and is truly incredible. For me, a badass person is a strong person, a person who doesn't fit the status quo, as I told you, a person who knows their worth, a person who will do anything and everything to accomplish their dreams, and a person who believes in themselves and they're themselves unapologetically. That is what a badass person is to me. Now, to be a badass person, one has to have a badass mindset. A badass mindset is a mind that is strong enough to know to act even when he knows it's not ready. He knows that perfectionism is a myth and also has a growth mindset. I want to ask you, have you ever heard the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset? Fear, which is the whole theme of this presentation, it comes from a fixed mindset. Okay, you're going to ask me, okay, Ursula, what is a fixed mindset? A fixed mindset is a mind that avoids challenges. It's a mind that likes to stay safe. It's a mind that allows his perfectionism to stop it from acting because it's never good enough. It's a mind that feedback and criticism, they take it very personally. It can't handle failure. Effort is equal to inadequacy and is jealous of other people's successes, feels that its abilities are fixed. That means that you can't change who you are. This is the type of mindset which we are taught in school. It's a very limiting mindset. You're either good at it or you're not. You either pass or you fail, and if you fail, might as well quit. Just, I quit. But in order to have your businesses, and I admire all of you for this because you probably have some of these growth mindset within you. So whenever you're building a real estate business, if you're doing a business or even in your own life, you need to develop a growth mindset. And what is that? A growth mindset is a mindset that sees failure as an offer for opportunity and growth. It knows that it learns from any feedback. So any feedback that they give to this person, they don't take it as criticism. They don't take it personally. They take it for growth. It's inspired by other people's successes and knows that abilities can be learned, that it requires effort. Sometimes we feel like if we put effort, then we are inadequate. But what if you just required it to get to where you are? And it truly embraces challenges. So what I'm going to ask you today, and the reason I'm telling you all of this is because what I'm going to ask you to do today requires you to have a growth mindset. And any further development that you do in your own career requires you to have a growth mindset and truly believe in yourself. So you're going to tell me, okay, Ursula, wait a minute. I resonated with everything you said on a fixed mindset. It's fine. It's actually okay. When I started this journey of becoming a coach and changing my life and so on, I was all about fixed mindset. But it's the moment that you realize, hey, I should probably change a little. What if I could embrace challenges? What if I could just talk to you and go on live on Facebook and I just embrace whatever happens from this conversation? That is the type of mindset that you develop when you decide that you want to just be better, be a better person. Okay, so I know Huong asked you guys to have a piece of paper with you. So I want you to bring the piece of paper, the pen, and I'm going to ask you a question. What is this question that you've been asking yourself on your real estate journey that has brought this fear from you? Is it, should I not invest? Should I do this? Should I do another venture of the real estate journey? Like, what is this question? And I want you to write it down. I want you to write it down, and we're going to be answering this through my, what I called ATM alignment method, but I'll give you guys a minute to write it down.
So Ursula, are you asking us to write down what our fear is, or what our next move in real estate is?
Well, it could be that it could be related, right? It could be that the next move that you're doing on real estate, it makes you feel fear that it might not work or it might not. So it might be related. Is anything that at the moment, especially because we're talking about real estate, I am guessing they're interrelated. But if there's something else in your life that you've been questioning and you're fearful of it, I want you to write it down and we'll challenge it.
Okay, so the exercise is to write down a current fear that we have right now.
Yes. Or a question regarding that fear. Should I do this, but I'm not really comfortable? Should I do this, but I feel like I'm not good enough to do it? Like, does that make sense? Maybe I'm not explaining.
Okay, so a fear that we're or a decision that we need to make, we're questioning it. Okay, gotcha.
Thank you, Huong, for explaining that a little better. For those who do not know me, it's mostly most of you, I am not from Canada originally. I was born and raised in Mexico. Therefore, English is my second language. And with this whole nonsense of the computer and this, English is always funky. But that's fine. You make it work, and that's what matters. Okay, I believe everybody should have written down their question or their fear that they're experiencing at the moment. If that's the case, I'm going to continue, and we're going to be answering this question, and we're going to be really diving deep on what are your next steps for this question and how we're going to invest in this. And this is where the 3 steps come in. Is I'm going to be using my ATM alignment method. That means that it's aligned action at the right time with the correct mindset. Okay, let's start with step number 1, and is the action. You're going to probably tell me, okay, Ursula, yeah, okay, action. Everybody talks about action, but I'm honestly going to ask you to take some uncomfortable action, because you can't be sitting on the prettiest of rooms with the prettiest of ideas, but don't do the work. You need to put yourself out there to truly get some feedback on what is happening. You need to get feedback and real information of you moving forward. I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to challenge you that you go and do this uncomfortable action that will move you closer to this dream, to this fear that you've been having, not to the fear, but to where you want to get. Because it's exactly when you take the uncomfortable action that you grow as a person, that you grow and you stretch yourself a little bit more. It's like you having an elastic band. You need to take the action to really stretch that elastic band a little more. I don't want you to start procrastinating. We do this a lot, and that includes myself, is we procrastinate and we don't want to act on the things. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. A huge one is procrastinating learning. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but it's the action that our brain believes that we are moving forward, because we are learning, right? We are doing a YouTube video of this, a YouTube video of that, webinar this, webinar that, but we are not taking action. We're just learning. And because you're learning, your brain's like, yeah, moving forward. But are you? You haven't been put in the work in order to know if you're doing it right, if you're getting feedback. And that is the type of mindset which growth mindset brings you, which is, I'm going to do it. And if I fail, I'll learn from it. Instead of a fixed mindset, we'll just stay in the procrastination loop because it will never take the action. So that's step number 1. Why is it not changing? Okay, step number 2 is the time. Time is something that we take for granted, but it's honestly a huge step for anybody. Time is, I don't want you to be like me and try something for, let's say, 29 days, then quit on the 30th, just to realize that you're going to be successful. I am encouraging you to allow yourself the time to become successful, because we tend to just want everything to happen like this. Oh, just tomorrow I invest in this and everything is gonna just show up. But as you probably have seen on your journey in real estate, it requires time. It requires you to keep showing up. I have two examples here. The first one is when you plant a seed. When you plant a seed, first, you need to water it, you need to nourish it, and you need to keep showing up every single day. And I love to see that as your business or as your real estate career. You need to keep showing up and you need to keep growing it. At the beginning, as you probably noticed when you first started, there was a lot of roots that were growing underneath, but nothing was happening. But as you kept showing up, more and more things just started to show up, which is the small flower or bigger flower, whatever is it that you planted. The other example I like to show here is I'm also an engineer, and I thought that it would just be very adequate for me to show a graph. And this is an exponential graph where we have on the x-axis, we have time, and on the y-axis, we have growth. What does this mean? That means that on the time axis, there is a lot of flatness at the beginning of the curve, a lot of flatness. This is the times that you just invested, that you just started, and it feels like nothing is happening. It's like, yeah, why did I do this? This is not really happening. But you have two options. Most of the people, and the people that have a fixed mindset, believe that you start needing to have effort, and you need to keep showing up, and they don't want that because they feel like that is something that's showing them that they're inadequate. But what if you could say, you know what? No, I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep allowing myself, and I will show up day in, day out, until one day you have somebody like Huong who has a huge portfolio and has made literally a career out of this, and she lives amazing doing what she loves. And that is when the chart just skyrockets, but it's only the people that are willing to go through the flatness. And step number 3 is the mindset. You're going to tell me, okay, Ursula, wait a minute. You are a badass mindset coach, and you're telling me that mindset is number 3. Yes. The first thing is because the acronym MAT, it will not be as cool as ATM, which is aligned action with time and mindset. But also, it is very important to have the right mindset. But when you have the action and the time backing up your mindset, it almost feels like it has evidence that you can do this. Because let's say that you're experiencing some fear right now. Let's say that right now you feel, I don't think I can do this. What if you could go back to the point when you started your real estate career and you were scared of buying your first property? If you can go back and say, hey, mind, so like your mind, I was able to do this by myself. I actually accomplished this. Why can I not move forward? Why can I not do what I want to do? So what you're telling me, and this false evidence appearing real, is absolutely BS. Let me give you an example. When I started my coaching business, I didn't go to school to be a coach. I went to school to be an engineer. If I couldn't go back and be like, wow, I moved from Mexico to Canada at 18 years old, all by myself. I graduated on my own from university. I got an engineering degree. I got my job by myself. I got my apartment by myself. I did all of this. Damn, I can definitely do coaching, because doing coaching is just having powerful, transformative conversations. And I might as well have a PhD in that because I love it. What I'm telling you out of this is that you are definitely capable of showing your mind the evidence on how it's wrong, on how it's showing you wrong evidence that you can't do it, because you can definitely can do this. With what I would like to continue is to tell you that we all fear something. We all fear, and I'm not here pretending that I am all cool and I never fear anything, because that would be a lie. That would be a lie, because every person that's in this call has had that feeling, but has decided to take the action. With me, I have a story where I told you I graduated as an engineer. I had a project management amazing career. And then I dropped it all off to follow my dream to be a coach, to follow my dream to help people believe in themselves. The first time I handed in my resignation letter, it was the best day of my life. But a week later, I had a full panic attack, because I was like, oh my God, what did you just do? what did you just do? You just literally went from the most comfortable lifestyle that you could probably imagine to this craziness. You have nobody here, everybody's in Mexico, and you're all on your own. Yes, full panic attack, just like, yeah, that's my expression of what happened. But what I'm trying to tell you with this, and the reason I'm sharing this, is because if I didn't have the evidence that, damn, I moved when I was 18 years old from Mexico to Canada all on my own, if I did such a big change in my life, why can I not do this? And then I was able to challenge my mindset, telling me, hey, you're alone, you can't do this, are you crazy? No, wait a minute, I have friends. I've been able to do huge changes in my life. Why can I not do what I'm doing today? With that said, I want to go back to the question that I asked you, or the challenge that you've been experiencing, because now I've taught you, or I told you all about the action. I've told you about the time. I've told you about the mindset. So this is where the action happens, and this is where the fear is going to stay behind, because we're going to take some action on this fear. And this is, okay, the action is, or what is the action that you're going to be taking in the next 24 hours regarding this fear, regarding this action that you are planning on doing? I don't know what it is, but I want to know, well, if you want to share with me either on social media or an email, what is the action that you're going to take? Is it perhaps, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a real estate expert here, nor I pretend to be, but let's say you're expanding your portfolio, you need to get another house, or you're venturing into private lending. I don't know what it is, but I want to know what the action is for the next 24 hours. Is it going to be perhaps scheduling visits to go see a property, perhaps talking to somebody like Huong that will guide you, okay, this is the next steps that you should be taking. I don't know, but what is the action that you're going to take in the next 24 hours? The time, how much time are you going to allow yourself to be successful? We tend to just want it all right now. This is the type of society we have right now. It's, oh, I posted a picture, thousands likes. But what if you were to allow yourself time to become successful in this new venture and this new thing that you want to do? I don't know what your thing is, but what if you were to allow yourself time? So how much time are you going to allow yourself? Is it going to be a year? Is it going to be 2 years, 5 years? I don't know. But yeah, go ahead. So answer those. If I'll give you 2 seconds and we will continue with the mindset. Because sometimes I just like ramble on. But yeah, with the action and the time, what is the action and what is the time that you're going to allow yourself?
Do you want me to share an example, Ursula, with you?
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. If you want. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the fears that I wrote down was that I won't be able to find a good tenant for the newly renovated 1-bedroom unit that I have. So there's a lot of fear around that, because one, it's a new unit and it's newly renovated. So I just dumped in 20,000 to fix it. So, and then finding a good tenant that's going to be able to pay rent on time and that's going to get along with the other tenants in the house. So that is the fear. So the action that I'm going to take is in the next 24 hours is to repost the ads so that I continue to get more lead generation, and also to contact my property manager who's helping me to show the place to make sure that they are available to show it next week so that we can have the time slots. And then the time, how much time do I need to give myself in order to make this change? So I'm giving myself until November 15th to rent it out. Good. And then after that, I will probably pull up my hair.
And okay, so I would challenge your belief a little on, have you ever had tenants that were good tenants?
Yes, but the majority, 99% of all my tenants have been amazing.
Perfect. So why would it would be the case for this one to be not the good tenant? What evidence do you have that could possibly be the case?
Some of the individuals calling are not my ideal tenants. And also all the bad stories I hear about other landlords who have awful tenants.
Yes. Okay. So I wanna show you something here. Our brain. So we have this they called the confirmation bias. This is something that our brain does, that whenever we have a belief that is strong enough in us, it will confirm this belief around us. That means that your reality will confirm the fact that you're not wanting a bad tenant. So everything that you will see in your life, it will be a bad tenant here, bad tenant here, bad tenant here, bad tenant here. But the cool thing about this is that if you were to change your belief and say, hey, I actually am looking for just amazing tenants like I've done before, you will be surprised how amazing suddenly things change. And it's like, oh my God, this person just told me how great their tenant is. And your reality will start shifting to the belief that your brain is now thinking. But okay, well, thank you so much for sharing. I will continue. I love that you did participate. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, and the last part on that is, which kind of goes hand in hand, is the mindset. Is what are you going to stop telling yourself in order to be successful? And what I'm encouraging you, Huong, because now I'm going to use you as an example, is I'm going to stop telling that I'm going to be finding a bad tenant. Like, that story is going to stop right now, because you need to start telling your brain a new story in order to have evidence that this new story is going to happen. And then what are you gonna start telling yourself now? That means, using your example, I find a good tenant. This is what's happening. It's gonna be fine. I'm gonna find a new tenant, and just have a truthful belief that this is gonna be a reality. And I kid you not, you'll find a good tenant, but you have to repeat it. You need to start telling yourself a new story. And lastly is, right now, what are you gonna continue telling yourself? Because you might feel motivated, very motivated with me just telling you, yes, you can do this. Yes, you can find a good tenant. But then 2 days after today, you're going to be like, oh, whatever. I'm just going to keep telling myself that there's no good tenants in this world. What I mean is, what are you going to continue telling yourself? And recently, I just learned a new technique from Mel Robbins, which you might have heard. She's a huge bestseller author. And in her new book, she has this technique that you go into the mirror and you high five yourself. This is the most random thing that you probably will hear today, but you literally go to the mirror, and the first thing that you do in the morning, and you high five yourself. And in this case, you could high five yourself and say whatever the new affirmation is. I find a new tenant. I can do this. I am capable, and whatever. The reason why this is so powerful, and how she backed it up by scientific proof, is that whenever we are kids, whenever you do that, whenever you do something, somebody high fives you, and you get this energy rush, like, yes, I did this for me. Therefore, when you're doing it for yourself, it's like proving yourself that you have your back, that you can do this. For some of you, you're like, Ursula, there's no way I'm going to stand in front of the mirror, literally to high five myself. But I'm encouraging you guys to be silly and do this, because you don't understand how much it could potentially change the way and the perspective you see yourself and you trust yourself. Or another action is, I'm going to do this for my future self. I'm going to show up for my future self. Or let's say I am showing up, I am believing that I get a good tenant because my future self will thank me. And you start taking the motivation out of the equation. There's ways for you to continue this momentum. Now, I know that Huong talked about all these fears at the beginning of the presentation, of like, what if all of these things go wrong? Well, I would like to challenge that. And this is where somebody like me, without knowing necessarily all about real estate, I can challenge the belief of, hey, what is really this belief coming from? Because this is a belief from a mind that's trying to keep you in your comfort zone, a mind that is trying to say, no, you shouldn't, you wasted all this money, you're not going to get the tenant. No. What if I can? What if, where can I go? And if you have somebody that can push those beliefs and somebody that can push you to be better, what else? And I would love to challenge. I would love to challenge all these beliefs, because this is what I do. And this is what I love talking to people, because we are the ones that limit ourselves, that limit our own reality. And I would love if you bring me either this powerful question, or if you have any of those doubts and you still have fears and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing, which I know that you guys do. I would love to have a conversation with you, have a conversation where we go through the ATM steps together. What is it? What is the action? What is the time? What is the mindset that we need to have? What is the evidence that you can actually accomplish what you want? I would love if you guys connect with me. I have a YouTube channel, my Instagram as your badass mindset coach, and I would like to open the session for Q&A because I am either ready to challenge you on some of your beliefs or answer any questions that you might have.
Right. Thank you, Ursula. I love it. I love how you just turned that completely around. And I love some of the phrases that you used. So like about high-fiving yourself and the procrastinating, because I do see that a lot in some of my clients as well, where they're constantly absorbing all the broadcasts and all the YouTube channels. And then it's like, where's the action? Where's the action? What are you doing? Where's the action? So I love it. Okay. So I'm going to throw a question out there and maybe you can help me with this one. So what do we do for those of us who think we have a growth mindset and then we come across and we meet somebody with a fixed mindset?
Mm-hmm.
What do
you would
do?
say, how do you change them? How do you
interact with them?
Sometimes it's very hard to change a mindset that doesn't want to be changed. And that's the biggest thing. If you were to find somebody that has a fixed mindset, it depends on what the conversation is. Perhaps you can just accept that they have a fixed mindset. But if you want them to do something, I would push them and ask, let's say they want to do something and say, no, what if I fail? Well, what if you don't? And I would challenge their beliefs just a little, enough for them to say, wait a minute, maybe it's not that bad if I fail. Maybe it's not that bad if it's not perfect. When you start challenging their beliefs enough, there will be one time that they'll start developing a growth mindset, even though they don't know they've developed a growth mindset. I would approach it I would just challenge their beliefs on, it comes like, oh, it's not perfect. I can't do this. Wait, but what if you were just to put it out there? What happens? And when you do that, they start developing the growth mindset unintentionally, because a growth mindset can be developed from like super little to once you truly embrace it and ask them, embrace the challenge, let's do this. And one of the things that they say to tell kids, instead of praising them because, oh, you're so intelligent, you say, hey, you did this because of your efforts, because how much effort you put into this, you were able to be successful. And that's how you could challenge or change their mindset. So before I give it back to you and there's any questions, I do want to leave you guys with two things. Well, I know that you are giving some gifts as well. I'm giving one gift, which is I have a 90-day planner that I built, that I created with all my heart. And it really helps you take action in just between moving your body to just doing daily affirmations. And if you guys go with the coupon code No More Fear from this presentation, you'll get it for free. It's all a gift for me. And the last thing I want to end this presentation with, or at least my side, is don't let fear of what could happen make nothing happen. And that is what I'm leaving you guys with today, if there's any questions, but I'll give it back to you, Huong.
That is a great quote. That's super fantastic. So just a check on that code that you gave. Does it all need to be capitals?
Yes, so it has to be. I'll write it down on the comments.
Okay, so it does all have to be capitals, and then the dash needs to be in between that. Okay.
Yeah, just like it was on that, but I'll write it on the comments here, so that you guys can just copy it, literally paste it. But yes, it has to be capitals and it has to have the dashes.
Okay. Oh, I think you used the no more rent as opposed to the no more fear.
Oh. I just did that. Oh my God. Don't use that one because it's not gonna work.
No more fear. That's funny. Okay.
Apologies.
So now I will open up the mic for anybody that's on the call. If you have any questions or any comments that you want to share or bring up, please feel free to do so. Okay, do not hold back. And in the meantime, I will bring up, so this is Ursula's contact information. So if you didn't get it earlier, it's on here again. So that's fantastic. And I love some of the stuff that you said about, about how you're an engineer and you have to show graphs. Well, I'm an engineer too. And so when I saw that graph, I'm like, she's missing the y-axis. like that was my first thought, was like, she's missing the y. But then I understood what you were trying to get at. So it's all good. And then I love how you acronymed it. So the ATM was pretty good. Yeah, really good. Okay. So I see Gugu made a comment there, and I totally agree with you on that, Gugu. Like, allow yourself to be successful, right? Be patient, be kind with yourself until you get there. Yeah, absolutely love that. Okay, so let's see here. So a couple of the gifts. So thank you very much, everybody, for being on the call and staying on. And I hope you learned something or got reminded of something that you knew in the past and are able to take some action going forward with some of your friends. Hi, Bavin. Did you have a comment or question?
No, sorry.
That's okay. I will mute you. Okay. There we go. So let me share with you the gifts that I promised you from the very beginning. So everybody that's on the call here will get access to the online video academy. And this academy contains 20 plus years of my knowledge and brain in real estate. So how to be mortgage free in 10 years, how to start a real estate portfolio, how to do private lending, how to do some of the really creative strategies within real estate once you get past the 4 or 5 door limits, and how to partner up with other individuals to build that real estate portfolio. So I will send you guys all the link along with the free access code to be able to get that content for a month for free. I will also send you guys all the link to be able to download the e-copy version of the book, How to Be Mortgage Free in 10 Years, so that you could do it all completely on your own. And also a copy of the Secret to Wealth book with Brian Tracy, who is a wonderful motivational speaker from the US. So I will dump that all in the chat box as well and give you guys that information. And Q&A, which we talked about. I will also now bring up Ursula's contact information so that you guys can reach out to her. And yeah, the whole concept of the badass thing, I love the way you explained that, Ursula. So that's super fantastic. Okay, so we are right on schedule. So is there any comments, questions? Ursula, do you have anything else you want to share?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me this time. I know it's a little different. You guys didn't do the whole real estate, but sometimes it's funny enough how we sometimes get coaches to coach our brain, our bodies, right? I get a coach so that I get fitter. But what if you could coach your mind to challenge yourself? Who could you be? Where could you be if somebody could be there to coach you and truly bring that badass in you? But that's all. Thank you so much for being here, honestly, and for having me.
Yeah, and that whole concept of being a badass is not a bad thing. Right? Like it's actually a good thing to be called a badass. So, okay. So I will bring up one of the fears that was on that list, Ursula, because we do have a bit of time. Yes. So one of the common fears that I am getting now is, Huong, the real estate market is so hot. This bubble has to pop, right? It can't just keep growing like this. So I'm fearful of investing in real estate now because we may see an economic downturn. So how would you tackle that with somebody if they came to you?
If they came to me, I would say, I understand that the bubble, let's say it was to happen. Real estate is not something, it's not a game of tomorrow. Like you don't buy a house today and you sell it tomorrow. I understand that if you were to hold it, the price of the house would probably come to the same position. So I would challenge, have you done your research on what could happen if it's a downturn? And understand the risks. Perhaps you would lose money, but what if you didn't? What if you were to able to rent it and now you have passive income? I would challenge on the beliefs that there's other ways to see failure. Failure shouldn't be just because it went down in price. Like, what if you could leverage something out of the house that you didn't think that you could? I would challenge it. I don't know necessarily in real estate, but where is that coming from? Where are you scared because you don't want to lose your money? Where is the fear coming from? Because I don't know, from your question and the person, I don't know where the fears are coming from. It could be from lack of maybe abundance mindset, where they just feel that everything is just terrible and they're putting everything in their bucket. Like, where is that coming from? But I would challenge to see the evidence that, hey, it's actually probably not that bad. And have you seen other people doing it? I would get that person to honestly see where the fear is coming from, and perhaps that is stopping them because they're ready to make a step that makes them uncomfortable and they don't want to do it. That's really where it lands and where I would challenge it. Without knowing all about the real estate that you guys do know.
Yeah, and that fear comes from what happened in 08, 09, and what some of us are old enough to remember what happened in the late 90s with the mortgage rates being super high and a lot of people losing stuff. And so some of that fear comes from what we've seen in the past that may have happened to other people, but also just because of what's out in the news now, right? Is that, oh my God, there's a potential correction coming.
Yeah, I would because I don't know about the real estate, I wouldn't necessarily not push them to do that. But if they want to invest in something, or if they want to grow, if that makes you so uncomfortable, then don't do that. Then do something else, or get informed from somebody, let's say like you, on getting a real decision. But make the decision from a place of growth. Like, I want to challenge myself, and whatever happens, happens. And that's the whole thing, is I am willing to bet everything on my dream. And that's the type of work, is like, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to own my decision. And that's the type of challenge, like mindset you have, is once you did it and you made a mistake, I will own it and I will go from there. I'll grow and I'll learn from there.
Yeah. So I love the story that you shared about you leaving your full-time engineering job, because that is, for myself, I had to do that. And a lot of individuals who get into real estate, they read the Rich Dad Poor Dad book and they're like, okay, so if I want to get out of the rat race, I have to leave my full-time job. And so that is something that a lot of real estate investors go through, because they eventually do leave their full-time job. And that is so scary for a lot of us, right? So yeah, absolutely.
Leaving the comfort zone is probably the hardest thing to do, because you don't want to, your brain is literally looking for that comfort. And if you leave that, it doesn't know what to do. And it takes a lot of courage. I do have to say that.
Yeah. So I do have a joke that I tell my kid all the time, is that my neck hurts, my shoulder hurts, because my brain is so heavy. And now I know why. It's because I have two brains, right? It's not just the one brain that I'm functioning on. I actually have two brains. So that's why it's like so heavy. Okay. So I am going to stop the Facebook Live. Does anybody know how to stop that? Okay, so the Facebook is done. Thank you, Ursula. So if you were Facebook shy, you now don't need to be Facebook shy. You can talk to Ursula directly, because we do have about a couple minutes left before we have to go. Okay.
If there's any fears or anything that I would actually challenge any of you to go and do the uncomfortable, which is speaking to random people about what you feel. Which is very uncomfortable, but that's all about taking that action. So I'm encouraging any of you to speak up on that fear. And if you're not ready, that's fine. But
well, if nobody jumps in, I'm going to share another fear.
Yeah. Go ahead. I love it. Yes. Let's do all fears.
So this one is not real estate related. This one's actually a bit of a personal one.
Okay.
So I do have a worry. So it's not really a fear. It's more of a worry about failing as a mother.
Okay. What does that would look like? Like failing as a mother? What would that be?
Oh, that would look like my son growing up to be a total jerk.
Okay.
Total self selfish, inconsiderate, takes my entire portfolio and blows it in within his lifetime and doesn't, pass it on, do anything good with it. Maybe not taking care of me in my old age. So just basically not being a nice person, and just making me feel, so then all the hard work that I'm putting in to be the wonderful mother that I want to be just, is a complete waste.
Okay, so where I would challenge it is, first of all, your son, it's his own identity. And if for whatever reason, his identity was a little darker than we would like it to be, it would have probably not so much to do with you, but a lot to do with him. If you, from the shadow of a doubt, you've done everything possible in your head to be the best mom that you could be, that is where I would challenge it, because he's his own person, he has his own decisions. And if for whatever reason he would just go and do these things, it's not to you. Your value as a person does not change from his actions, because you've done everything that you can to be the best that you can, that you know how to do it, because we don't know how to be moms. Not that I am a mom, but I don't think I would have an idea how to be a mother. Therefore, you're trying to do everything that you can. Of course, there's parents that, let's say, they weren't the best parents, but even then, it's an experience that the person had to go through, and they had their own life. And I would do all the work that you're doing for yourself, and not necessarily you're doing it because you have your kid and you're doing everything to protect him and everything, but just do it for Huong, and don't expect to be, let's say, to be taken care of from somebody else. Take care from you. And then once you take care from yourself, once you show up for yourself, then everything else, including your son, will come. It will present itself that way, because you're not trying to do something to get something out of somebody. You're not trying to build your portfolio to get something from your son. You're trying to do it for yourself. And when you do it for yourself, when you're honoring Huong, he will just be an additional piece to your puzzle. He won't be the puzzle at all. Like, he'll just be a little puzzle, part of your puzzle. Mm-hmm. And then you also take a lot of pressure from him, because you're doing this for you and not for him. And when you do this for you, you show up for him. I hope
that makes a lot of sense. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, because if I continue down the path that I am, I will be putting a lot of burden, a lot of guilt, and a lot of everything on him. And that's not fair, right?
It's not. And once you take that pressure off him, then he also could be his own thing. He might not like real estate. And what are you going to do? He might not like everything that you've built. And that is okay. And that is but that's who he is. And that is the life that he has to build. So I would build everything that you're doing for yourself and then add to his life. I know that beyond of a doubt, you're doing what you can. And that's all that's a type of growth mindset where you know what, I am doing the best I can. And if I fail, it's actually okay, because I didn't know how to do it any other way.
Nicely put.
Yes. And I do have a story where I thought I would share with you guys on. Sometimes we try to blame other people in terms of, this person doesn't believe in me, or this person doesn't think I'm good at real estate, or whatever it is that sometimes other people think of us. And then where I would challenge this is it really them thinking that, or is it you thinking that about yourself? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I had a moment where I started my business where my mom would tell me stuff about my business. Oh, you can't charge that. You can't do this. That's not going to work. And I started blaming her and say, oh, my mom doesn't believe in me, so I might as well just quit. But the reality, and when I realized, is that she was just being a mirror to myself. And we have a lot of mirrors like this in our lives. We have a lot of people that mirror what we are actually feeling. And the reality is that I didn't believe in me. I didn't believe that I could charge what I was charging. I didn't believe that I could be a coach. And she was just a mirror. Because when they say something and it doesn't bother you, let's say if your son Hung would have said, you're not a good mom, and you know that you were the best mom that you could be, his comment would be like, okay, thank you, but I was, or I am a good mom. Or in this case, I am a good coach. I can do this. I am capable. If I truly believed in me, my mom's words wouldn't have hit me. But because they did, they reflected something. So I encourage you guys all to see if there's anybody that's reflecting something that you don't want to see and that you blaming it on them. Quick fact.
That is a heavy thing to leave us with. Like that concept is not just something to like tell in the last 2 minutes and be like, okay, bye, see you guys all later.
Well, I'm sorry how you started it, but I just want to let you know that but this is all about becoming a better person.
So on that note, okay. Thank you, Ursula. That was super fantastic. Yeah. All right. So if there are no more, okay. Thank you, Jill. So if there, okay. So there is a question in there.
Yeah. So on the timeline, I would call it, yes, maybe a timeline, but more, if you call it a timeline, you're looking at yourself to a deadline. And if you fail that deadline, that is where your fixed mindset is going to be like, oh my God, I failed because I didn't meet the deadline. The reason I'm saying like, give yourself a time is to know that give yourself bandwidth to become successful. And if you put a date and for whatever reason you didn't accomplish it, it's okay. It will push you. Obviously, it will push you to do the thing, but don't look at it as a failure if you don't need it. Did that answer? Was that? And if you're putting it off, okay, so if you're putting it off, also I would, once you get to that timeline and you pushed it off, I would challenge, am I procrastinating? Because we know if we miss that deadline because we didn't do the work or because we were too scared to accomplish it. So yes, a deadline is good. But one, I don't want you to feel like you're a failure if you didn't achieve it. And if you didn't achieve it, why? And this is where you need to talk to yourself or write it down. Why didn't I achieve it? Is it because I procrastinated? Is it because I am scared of doing it? And sometimes when we're scared, we say, why we're so busy. Am I that busy? So I hope that answers your question. So it's, yes, a deadline is helpful, but don't say I failed if I didn't meet it. But if I didn't meet it, why? Good, awesome. Thank you, Joel, for asking the question. I appreciate that.
That was good. Okay, so if there are no other questions, we will end the call.
I have one question.
Of course. Hi, Babin.
Yes.
Go for it. Hi.
So a lot of people have a fear of this virus, and there are no like end of it, or there is no like end of tunnel where anybody can see right now. How they overcome from it?
Okay, wait. Can you repeat it? I'm so sorry.
So we are in a pandemic.
Yes.
And there's no like end of tunnel. We can see it, clearly. So how can we either reduce their fear or come out of it? Because we cannot just ignore it, and we cannot even completely. So we are like,
Yeah, I get it. I understand what you're asking, and thanks for repeating it. In terms of the fear to the pandemic, I would try to, one, as I mentioned on the confirmation bias, is when you fear something, when you believe something a lot, you will see it repeatedly. Therefore, if you're seeing a lot of news about how many cases, if you're almost prepping your brain for all of these things, you will be presented with this. So what I would suggest is start not necessarily ignoring it, but try to live your life as in, I'm going to live in the moment. one, we don't have any control of what's happening, unfortunately. We have control on protecting ourselves. But if one, you start decreasing the amount of news that you look about the pandemic, you will, I know it's important sometimes to be informed of what's going on, and I completely understand. But the more you see it, the more you will see it. It's your brain will just bring this evidence to you. So the first thing I would encourage you is to try to avoid it as much as possible. After that, there's no control that you can do. So I would just believe that you're going to be fine, that sometimes our brains are making, so the fear that you have or that people have, it's a story that is created in our mind. And perhaps it's not that bad. And to know that we have now, like there's vaccines, there's people, there are things that are happening, and trust that it will work out. And you can't change it. Nor can I, nor anybody in this call can change what's happening. But what we can control is the way we react every single day, is the way that we can go and do a high five on our own and say, hey, I am a damn good person today, and I'm going to show up with a smile, even though the world is, it's just on fire. Today, I have a smile. And today I choose my actions and I choose my mood, because that is what you can change. And that is what you can control. So try to be positive, try to stay positive. Don't look at so many things. And I promise to you, Pavan, that once you change yourself, the world outside you changes. I hope that helps. There's nothing we can do, but you can definitely choose how can you present yourself every day.
Sounds great. Yeah. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah, I'm going to give everybody a high five, a virtual high five, and give myself one. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. It's yeah. So it was great. The content was just amazing, Ursula. Just absolutely just super fantastic. So thank you, everybody. And yeah, hope to see everybody on the next call. If there's anything else, just please reach out to Ursula or myself. Okay. Have a great night, everybody.